I'm not sure where Boyce got this information, but he probably should get some better sources next time. Welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. Dr. Boyce Watkins, issued a tweet the other day that I had to respond to that was very, very wrong on several levels. The tweet talks about how in 2020, Biden is pushing for the defunding of police. 2022, a bunch of people are getting killed, regular people, children, families are getting slaughtered. He says, basically, what do you expect? There's several things wrong with this. Like I said, on several levels. Let's start with Biden being behind a push for defunding the police. That is 1,000% wrong. Joe Biden is actually the push for increased funding for police. He's been that push his entire career. Let's go back to the 94 crime bill when Senator Joseph Biden from Delaware, at that point, pushed for federal funding of more cops on the street, 100,000 more police officers on the street. He also supported the militarization of the police. This is who Joe Biden is. This is who Joe Biden was. This is who Joe Biden will be until the day he stops breathing. Pro-police, big governments, authoritarian piece of garbage. That's Joe Biden in a nutshell. So, any ideas that Joe Biden was in favor of defunding the police, you probably got from watching Fox News. Fox News decided to lie about Joe Biden in order to bolster Trump's chances. Left-wing media had to whisper these truths about Joe Biden to make sure progressives weren't watching, because they didn't want to alienate progressives, but at the same time, they wanted their moderates to know, trust me, we're putting more money in the police. Shh. That's what they were about. That's what they've been about. The Democratic establishment has no interest in defunding the police. I mean, who will enforce all of the extra laws that they like to make if they defunded the police? But it goes beyond that, because then he talks about 2022 and hey, so now we have massacres. See, the problem is, not only did Joe Biden not push for the defunding of the police weren't actually defunded. Once again, you might not get this message if you watch Fox News. So let's take Uvalde, for instance. Uvalde's budget, 38.6% of Uvalde's budget goes to the police department. That's over $4 million for a city of 16,000 residents. Let me tell you how much they spent in 2020. In 2020, Uvalde spent $4 million on the police. In 2021, Uvalde spent $4.3 million on police. In 2022, Uvalde spent $4.4 million on police. So not only were police not defunded, their funding was actually increased in Uvalde. And yet you had a bunch of cops standing on the sidelines watching while kids got murdered. And it doesn't even get to the heart of what all the things that went wrong in Uvalde. From the police arresting parents who wanted their kids to be saved, cuffing one woman who eventually was uncuffed, and then still managed to jump over the fence, get inside the school, rescue both of her kids, and then get out. And while she was there, she said she could hear the shooter shooting, which is why she knew exactly where the shooter was, so she knew where she could get out safely. This is all while police are standing around, not going inside, not saving the kids, not actually trying to take out the shooter. So no, police being defunded was not the problem in Uvalde. Police being not worth was part of the problem in Uvalde. Police being absolute cowards and inept and then lying about it, that's the problem in Uvalde. Because after 19 children are slaughtered and 2 teachers, we watched the police tell lie after lie after lie to try to defend what they've done. So at this point, we're still not exactly sure what happened. We know it wasn't what they first said would happen. So we know no resource officer engaged the shooter. A resource officer actually drove past the shooter and tried to engage a teacher. So the narrative that maybe somebody got from listening to Tim Pool or reading a Tim Pool tweet is absolutely unequivocally false, that defunding the police is what caused the problems in Uvalde. But let's take a look at Buffalo, because in Buffalo, you know what? They did have less money in their budget this year than last year. $743,000 less. How much was Buffalo's budget altogether? $85 million. So yes, $85.3 million was spent on the police budget, but last year it was 86 million. The interesting thing is, none of this was due to defunding the police. And you know how I know? Because earlier that week, before the scumbag entered that supermarket and murdered those people, do you know what happened? Earlier that week, the Buffalo mayor is arguing for an increase in the police budget. Earlier that week. In fact, he wasn't just arguing for the $743,000 more. He was arguing for an additional $5 million for the police budget, which he was proposing a 5% tax hike on the citizens in order to pay for the extra money that he wanted to give to the police department. That's what he was proposing earlier that week. So no, defunding the police was not a problem in either situation. And in fact, if you look around the country, you will find that police departments were not defunded. And then if you actually look at the numbers, you'll see how exorbitant amounts of money are being spent on policing. And these governments, whether they're being run by Democrats or Republicans, are pushing for more money to police. So this narrative that defunding the police is the reason why we have problems is not just ridiculous. It's just not completely unfactual. It's pure fantasy. The point is, I don't know if Boyce wrote this tweet or if one of his staff wrote it. Whoever did needs to do better research, because this one was way off base. As always, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, like, share, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. If you disagree, if you think, no, the reason why we have upticks in crime is because police are demoralized and people just talking about defunding the police is making them depressed and they don't want to do their jobs anymore, feel free to give me a thumbs down and state why in the comment section you think that people that are willingly not doing their job deserve more money. Let's change the world.